Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for educational purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho quadruples that took place on the 13th of November 2022. May the four victims rest in peace, condolence to their families, and may the correct justice be served. I'd like to start by saying that this is mostly my speculations, my theories of what I believe could have possibly happened that awful night at Idaho, Moscow, Kings Road. I'd like to start by thanking all my subscribers, viewers for all your support, kindness. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe. It does help the channel. Today I'd like to talk a bit about all the parties that we have seen on the body cams that were taken by the police body cams at 1122 Kings Road. We've seen a couple of police body cams at 1122 Kings Road. We've seen one with Kaylee and Hunter Johnson when the police came from behind the house. It was a summer day, I believe it was in August 2022, and where the officer asked Kaylee for her ID card. And he said that he was just giving them a warning, just in case of loud music and in case the neighbors get disturbed. What I found strange about that is I don't believe there was any reason for the police to have come to the house that day and speak to Kaylee, because the call was called for the house near Jack D, where the boys were standing on the roof and there were many people partying downstairs. But yes, yet the officer for some reason believed that he had to give a warning to 1122 Kings Road. There was another time that we saw that the officers knocked at 1122 Kings Road. This was on the 1st of September 2022. Nobody answered the door. Hunter and I believe the other young guy who's from Sigma Chi fraternity opened the door. After a while, after a couple of knockings by the police, these two young men came out. They said that the people who lived in this house wasn't there, and they did not actually. They said they don't even know who lives in this house. We know that young college students party a lot, and obviously they lie a lot too, because they are making illegal parties. But what I found interesting is that the police came there before they put out the warning, or they gave Maddie the warning over the phone that if they come here the next time, somebody is going to get a penalty or get a misdemeanor charges. And yet again, the police did come. They said they got another complaint. They came the third time, or the second time. They spoke to Zana Canodal, may she rest in peace. And Zana said she wasn't aware that the police came there before, and she said that she will make sure that they keep the music and the voices down, and the police advised them to send everyone home. Now, the time before the police came to Zana was the time they saw They spoke to Hunter, and I believe the young man called Eddie. I could be wrong with his name. I believe his name is Eddie. They spoke to both of them. What I found interesting is as soon as the police approached the house, we saw clearly Emma Bailey and some other girls with short jeans walking out of the house, and they were asked who lives in this house, and they said they don't know. So what I personally picked up from these body cams is that everyone seems to be avoiding answering the question of who lives there and where they were. We heard the young man with Hunter say clearly that he lives across the street and he doesn't even know who lives here. The police officer said that means y'all are trespassing, because if y'all don't live here and y'all don't know who lives here, how come y'all are in the house to start with? So point being, I've noticed something. There's a pattern of other people being in this house, partying in this house, whether Maddie was at the corner club or not. That's another thing that I find I find that is interesting is Maddie seems to spend a lot of time at the corner club. So my question is, could there have been something going on with the corner club and 1122 Kings Road? Whether it's about money, whether it's about rugs, whether it was about storage or something or the other, something was clearly not right. I do understand that there's not many clubs in Idaho, Moscow, but there are a couple of bars and clubs actually, besides the corner club. So why was Maddie always at the corner club? When you look at this case, we are interested in finding out the truth of what happened actually that awful night. But to get closer to finding out what happened, we need to understand not only the facts, the little that we know, the facts we've been told, but we need to even understand what is it that we are missing on the surface. And when you look at it, what I clearly see that Ann Taylor could actually use against them is there were many other people who were not even associated to this house who were chilling in this house. We saw the police pouring out the alcohol. They said there were many minors who were there, so obviously it's the minors who ran away from their drinks. So now, take for example, if there were minors drinking in this house and people who were above the age of minors, imagine minors partying, and if things go on the left, if things go on the wrong side, what could have taken place? Minors we mean by not under 18, but obviously even 19, 20, people are not supposed to be drinking liquor. Obviously they're running away from the drinks, so what else could they be running away from, is my question. What could have been actually going on in 1122 Kings Road is my question. Today I'd like to focus on, was the resident the target? Now you have so many youngsters coming in and out, partying in this house, so you can imagine how many unidentified male and female DNAs there are in this house. Could it be possible that Brian Christopher Koberger was partying in this house too? Just a question. Anything is possible. We can't leave any stone unturned. I want to know how come Hunter Johnson, one of Xana and E's friends, and at the same time he was the young man who DM and BF called, and he called 911 8 hours later. I just have this feeling that Hunter Johnson knows more than he's saying. Pay attention. The body cam with the police, when they came to Kaylee and they spoke to Kaylee and gave her the warning, Hunter Johnson was there with the blue shirt. Then we have Hunter Johnson again on the 1st of September in the body cam from Truth and Transparency. Shout out to her. She's done a wonderful job in this case. And I just used I was just going to refer to the clip that she made because that is more detailed. If you pay attention, I'm going to play it soon, but if you pay attention to that clip, you can see in the body cam, this is the second time we see Hunter Johnson in the body cam. Then we have Hunter Johnson as a witness who called the 911. Wonder what Hunter Johnson's relations was with 1122 Kings Road. Could these students have been dealing with drugs? Was there some kind of business going on, or was they just innocently partying? Is my question. Because even the police were surprised that Hunter and his friends said that they don't know who lives here, but yet they were in the house. If they were in that house so often, their DNAs had to be there. And that could possibly make the Moscow police and the FBI allegedly believe that if their DNAs were there, that these young men were always hanging around there and they were friends with the victims, so they could be innocent. That's what I'm actually looking at. These young men and the other people partying in the house could have pointed their finger at BK. Because let's not forget there was the FBI tip line. And in the FBI tip line, the FBI said they got thousands of leads. This was after and before Brian Christopher Kohlberger was arrested. So obviously, it's easier for whoever was involved. I'm not saying that Hunter or anyone was involved, but if they were involved, or if any other fraternities were involved, they could have easily blamed it on BK. Or it could be possible that BK was involved himself. All it takes is for Ann Taylor to say that BK was one of the people partying in the house. And then the case is going to turn totally into the other side. Because then the police will have to definitely answer all the evidence they gathered from there, all the different fingerprints that were there. Let's not forget there was 3 unidentified male DNAs that I am really interested in, and I hope that Ann Taylor doesn't give up on finding out who the 3 unidentified male DNAs belong to, because that could have easily blown up the case. Wonder why they're not giving up the 3 unidentified male DNAs. Isn't it strange that there's 3 unidentified male DNAs and we saw 4 figures running? I just don't believe that everything in life is a coincidence. There was a lot of things happening that night. From the police body cam, which is a fact, we heard a female yelling, "Stop it, stop." This was at 2:54. Close to 3 a.m. We saw Saeed, and I showed y'all, I exposed those pictures from the very beginning of what Saeed was watching. Right in front of the police's face. All they could have said is, "Put down your phone." The police asked him if they could see his ID, and he said he had it in his phone. It takes a second or a couple of seconds to pull out your driving license picture from the phone. Because every human being knows you could be pulled up by the police anytime. If you don't have your driving license, you would know most likely where you saved it. Saeed and the 3 young men from the band field looked like they were coming from the direction of 1122 Kings Road. If the residence was a target, like William Thompson, the prosecutor, said, it would make sense because we have all these different kind of people waltzing in and out of this house. Everyone saying that they don't live here when the police comes. The people of the house not being around, like Maddie, may she rest in peace, can mean that people are dealing in the house, selling something. People could be doing illegal activities in this house if the owner of the house or if the people who live in the residence are not there. Could it be that the house, the residence, was the target and the victims were the target? Was there something being stored in the house? This was the party venue. Not only when the 4 victims lived there. This house seemed to be a party house years and years before that. Maybe it's because it's off campus and they know there isn't many rules and regulations off campus. What I'm concerned about is with all these people hanging around this house, what activities was going on in the house? Why was Hunter Johnson so busy in this house, is my question. He was opening the door for the police. He was there when Kaylee came out to speak to the police. He came with those zip ties and he was sitting on the sofa, if you remember. So it seems like Hunter was in this house too often. It's not like Hunter was dating any of the 4 victims in the house. He wasn't. His girlfriend is Emily, and Emily doesn't live in the house, but she used to hang around the house too. And we know that Hunter Johnson is a very good friend of the couple, Zan and E. I think he's friends with Kaylee too. But what was going on in this house, and why was Maddie spending so much time at the corner club? What was going on there? What was happening in the corner club? What was happening in 1122 Kings Road? Because I believe the party was happening in both those places. The girls were chilling and partying in the corner club, while other people who don't even belong to this resident 1122 Kings Road was actually chilling there. And they were opening the door for the police without a problem. The fact that one of them said that, "I live across the street, I don't even live here." And then the police officer said, "That means you're trespassing." And he said, "No." We saw the police pouring out the liquor that people hid outside 1122 Kings Road? I believe there was things going inside the house. There's this part, if you watch the body cam, where Hunter opens the door and the other Sigma Chi fraternity boy opens the door. You'll hear even the police saying, "Don't let us come around here again because the neighbors have been complaining." Now, if the neighbors have been complaining, that shows and that proves that the neighbors could hear everything happening at 1122 Kings Road. They're paying attention to the loud music. They were paying attention to many other things in this house. So if that was the case, I would love to know why the neighbors did not, I repeat, did not call the police the night of the brutal quadruples. Why wouldn't they call the police? They should have, and I'm sure they heard it, because they're usually quick in calling the police to complain when people are listening to loud music. My other question that I really want to know is, was there actually a party or a gathering the night of the awful quadruples? The reason that I ask is that when the forensics team is taking pictures in the corridor, it looked like that's where they found E's body, according to Ashley Banfield. I really do believe that E was found in the corridor. And when you look at when the forensic team is taking pictures in the living room, you will notice 6 to 7 red cups on the table and a green bowl, a big bowl where you put in like popcorn or crisps or something like that. And let's not forget, those pictures were frozen in time. So those were the last pictures of the residence itself. I wonder if, I've asked that theory, I've speculated and explained that theory before. The reason I believe there was a gathering is because nobody knows of Xana's whereabouts. Eaton was seen actually, between 8 to 9 at the Betty ball, where he was the date for his sister, and his other triplet, Hunter, was the date for the sister's roommate. But nobody saw Xana. We didn't see pictures of Xana Kanoda. So that is actually very interesting. So I wonder if Xana was at home chilling with some friends and something happened, and he could have come home too, because no pictures was taken of E and Xana after 9 p.m. that night. The only picture that we saw before 9 p.m. was E at the Betty ball. We've never seen Xana. So was there a gathering, and did something go wrong? When people are on addictions, when people are drinking, allegedly things could go left. We have seen so many, unfortunately, unalivings that happen due to any kind of addiction, whether it's drinking, whether it's drugs, whether it's pills or anything else. We have, for example, D.L. Lott, who we heard allegedly uses steroids. And if that is the case, steroids makes people aggressive. I wonder who else from the people partying and chilling in this house was on heavy drugs or on steroids or anything else. Because as a behavior therapist, I know that this brings rage, aggressiveness, many other things. This story about the rugs is one story that we really do not touch upon, but when you look at it Idaho itself is having a lot of issues with drug trafficking, human trafficking, etc. So it wouldn't be far off to be asking that question. There's been many overdoses in that county and counties nearby. We heard Inan Harsh saying clearly that there was the SUV or the truck that he saw, the SUV he saw, he said was a black tinted SUV, luxurious SUV, and it had the plates, the SUV plates was either Arizona, what's it called, Mexico, California. And when you think about it, that is the root of the drugs trafficking. That if you go back to my clips, you will see that I showed y'all, and y'all can actually check on Idaho News a couple of weeks ago. There was a big rug bust by the FBI, and what's it called, the defense attorney of Idaho was talking about the good busts that they made of drug trafficking coming in from, strangely enough, 3 places: Arizona, Idaho, Arizona, California, and Mexico. So I wonder if that was the connections. I wonder if these 4 victims, or 1 or 2 of these victims, could have unfortunately got involved and something went wrong, and the people in this drug operation came and took revenge. Either it was about money or drugs or money laundering. Something went wrong. We don't know much about the surviving roommates, but I find it strange that both of them survived and Murphy the dog survived. That's the reason I believe always that whoever came and did these horrific crimes knew Murphy and did not want to harm Murphy. They knew the surviving roommates. Maybe the surviving roommates were not involved, or maybe they know more than they're telling us, or they could be involved. This whole case is on a gag order, so we would never know, but the residence needs to be focused on. There was too much going on in that residence. Let's not ignore that. When you even look at Zana, when she's talking to the police in the body cam, I really respect these victims and their families, so I would be mindful by saying Zana was under some kind of addiction, whether it was pills, it wasn't alcohol, because you could clearly see her eyes, her demeanor, her behavior, that she was on something. So was there pills and drugs involved in this case? This was a party house, party venue. Was someone doing drugs, whether they were using it or whether they were selling it? Was there something going on in this house? Could that be the reason that they demolished this house? I think the secret lies in the house and the victims too. This was a horrific, brutal, bloody unalivings. I wonder if they wrote something on the walls, kind of a message. The 4 figures running, were they working for some organization? How many people could have been involved in it? I just don't believe that this is a SK unalivings. I personally don't get that vibes. unless BK has some serious mental health illnesses and he had a psychosis episode, and maybe one of the girls turned him down or said something that hurted his feelings, and since he has had an addiction history, although he stopped it for 5 years, wonder if everything triggered back in his brain and he decided to do this horrific crime. That's a possibility too. But I personally believe that the surviving roommates and the dog Murphy were left for a reason. Either they were not involved in what was going on in this house, or either they were involved and one of the victims may have caught on to what they were dealing with and must have wanted to go to the police and tell about it. That's why maybe there was silence. These are all just my opinions, my thoughts, but I think all Ann Taylor is going to do when the trial starts is say maybe that Brian Koberger used to chill and party in this house. And that would change the whole story. Because then all Brian has to say is, I was in this house, that's the reason my DNA got there. Why did they demolish this house? Why would you demolish a house that the jury may need to see? That the jury would want to see? Because this is a 3-story house. And I still don't buy this story of DM saying that she heard Kaylee, someone that sounded like Kaylee, playing with a dog. If Kaylee was playing with a dog, clearly Kaylee would have been in her room because she was playing with Murphy. And I don't see the fact that Kaylee, Murphy, and Maddie would have been in that small, tiny room of Maddie's. There was barely any place or space. So I believe that Kaylee was in a room with Murphy. She must have heard someone coming upstairs because she said, I believe there's somebody here. The police said that they believe it was Annie. I think it was Kaylee. She heard somebody coming up the steps. She must have heard Maddie yelling, and she must have gone to help Maddie. And unfortunately, she was attacked and maybe thrown on the bed, and that's how she landed in the position she landed. I know it sounds terrible to be talking about such things, but I'm just trying to figure out what possibilities, theories could have happened. It's all my speculation, and I wanted to share it with you. For someone to have told Xana that I'm here to help sounds like someone she knew. It could have been one of the frat boys, I believe. Or it could have been someone she knows, her friend that she didn't expect to be part of this horrific attacks. Because the person told her, I'm here to help. Why would somebody who wants to unalive you say, I'm here to help? And why are the neighbors saying that they did not hear anything? The neighbors used to always call the police for complaints. How come that night, according to the police, it was a quiet night? So if it was a quiet night, the neighbors would have definitely heard at least one of the 4 victims fighting for their lives or yelling. Please let me know what y'all think and have a lovely week. May the 4 victims rest in peace. Prayers for the family, condolence to their families, and may the correct justice be served. Have a lovely night, guys.